Do you believe a house can remember the tragedies that happen within its walls? Some places hold on to their secrets, and those secrets can whisper from beyond the grave. Tonight, we're venturing into a story that proves some things are better left undisturbed. It's a chilling reminder that the space you call home might have a dark history, one that's waiting for the right moment to make itself known. This is the true story of Apartment 13. In 1996, a young woman named Amy Collins was thrilled to find an affordable apartment in an old but charming building in Pennsylvania. It was small, a bit dated, but it was all hers. The first few nights were peaceful. Amy settled in, arranging her furniture, and enjoying her new independence. But then, the whispers started. Every night, like clockwork, at precisely 3 o'clock a.m., she would be awakened by faint, muffled voices. They seemed to be coming from the wall right behind her bed. At first, she dismissed it. Old buildings have thin walls, right? It had to be the neighbors. Annoyed but not yet frightened, she decided to talk to the building manager. When she explained the situation, the manager gave her a strange look. He checked his records and then told her something that made a cold chill run down her spine. The apartment next to hers, the one she shared a bedroom wall with, had been completely vacant for 8 years. The last tenant had passed away inside the unit. Amy tried to rationalize it. Maybe it was the pipes, or the wind, or her own mind playing tricks on her. But the whispers didn't stop. In fact, they grew clearer. A week later, she was jolted awake again at 3 o'clock a.m. This time, the whisper was distinct. And it was calling her name, Amy. Her blood ran cold. It was a single, raspy word, spoken as if someone was right on the other side of the wall, their lips pressed against the plaster. Panic set in. This wasn't just old pipes. This was something else. This was personal. If you're enjoying this descent into the darkness, make sure to subscribe to the Gate of Horror so you don't miss any of our terrifying tales. What would you do if you heard your name whispered in an empty apartment? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Now, back to the terror in Apartment 13. Driven by a mix of fear and a desperate need for answers, Amy bought a small, voice-activated tape recorder. She placed it on her nightstand, right next to the wall, before she went to bed. She barely slept, tossing and turning, her ears straining for any sound. The next morning, with trembling hands, she rewound the tape and pressed play. For a long time, there was only silence. Then, she heard the faint static of the recording kicking in. A voice, hoarse and filled with desperation, came through the tiny speaker. It was clearer than she had ever heard it before. The words were a chilling plea. "Help me. They buried me here." Amy dropped the recorder and stumbled back, her heart pounding in her chest. Buried here? It was impossible. It couldn't be true. But the voice on the tape was undeniable. She knew she couldn't stay in that apartment another night. She grabbed her keys, fled the building, and immediately called the police. When the officers arrived, they were skeptical, to say the least. A whispering ghost in the wall sounded like a work of fiction, but Amy was visibly terrified. And the recording was eerily convincing. Reluctantly, they agreed to investigate. They brought in a team with specialized equipment to inspect the wall behind her bed. As they began to carefully break through the plaster and lath, a foul odor filled the small apartment. The officers exchanged uneasy glances. They continued their work, pulling away layers of the old wall until they found it, tucked away inside the wall cavity. Hidden for years, were the skeletal remains of a human being. The investigation later revealed the remains belonged to a woman who had gone missing nearly a decade earlier. She had been the victim of a homicide, her body sealed within the apartment wall by her killer. For 8 long years, her silent tomb was the apartment next door. For 8 long years, her spirit waited, whispering for someone to find her, for someone to help her. Amy was the first person to finally listen. So, the next time you hear a strange noise in the middle of the night, you might want to listen a little closer. You never know who or what might be trying to get your attention. Thanks for joining me on this journey into the shadows. If you haven't already, please hit that like button and subscribe to the Gate of Horror for more true horror stories. Until next time, stay safe and check your walls. Have you ever been driving late at night, on a long, dark road, and felt that unsettling chill run down your spine? That feeling that you're not entirely alone, even when the road ahead is empty. Most of us dismiss it as just our imagination playing tricks on us. But what if it wasn't? What if something from the other side was trying to reach out? Tonight's story might make you think twice the next time you feel that eerie presence in your car. It was a moonless night in 1982. A truck driver named Paul Benson was navigating the desolate, winding roads of Nevada. The only sounds were the low rumble of his engine and the tires humming on the asphalt. The darkness was so complete, it felt like it was pressing on the cab of his truck. He'd been driving for hours, fighting to keep his eyes open, when his headlights suddenly caught something up ahead. It was a figure on the side of the road, a woman, waving her arm frantically. Paul was a good-hearted man. He couldn't just leave someone stranded out here in the middle of nowhere. He slowed his rig to a stop, their brakes hissing in the silence. The woman looked to be in her late 20s, wearing a simple dress that seemed a bit old-fashioned. Her face was pale, her eyes wide with what he assumed was fear or relief. He leaned over and opened the passenger door. "Need a lift?" he asked. She just nodded, her expression blank, and climbed into the cab without a word. He pulled back onto the empty highway. He tried to make small talk, asking her where she was headed, what had happened. But she remained completely silent, just staring straight ahead at the dark road. Paul started to feel a little uneasy. The silence in the cab was heavier than before, thick with an unspoken tension. He'd picked up hitchhikers before, but this was different. The air grew cold, so cold he could see his breath, even though the heater was blasting. He glanced over at her, but she didn't seem to notice the drop in temperature. After about 20 minutes of this unnerving silence, he decided to try one more time. "Look, miss, the next town isn't for another hour. Are you sure you're okay?" He turned his head to look directly at her, and his heart nearly stopped. The passenger seat was empty. She was just gone. He slammed on the brakes, the truck swerving slightly. He looked in the back, in the sleeper cab, everywhere. There was no one. His mind raced. Did he fall asleep? Did he imagine the whole thing? He was shaking, his rational mind trying to find an explanation, but there was none. He needed to clear his head, so he drove on until he saw the dim lights of a 24-hour gas station, a small island of light in the vast darkness. He pulled in, his hands still trembling as he filled up his tank. The station attendant, an old man with tired eyes, came out to clean his windshield. Needing to tell someone, anyone, Paul recounted the bizarre experience. He described the woman in detail, the pale face, the old-fashioned dress, the chilling silence. The old man stopped wiping the glass and looked at Paul, his expression turning grim. "You're not the first one to give her a ride," he said, his voice low and raspy. He pointed a crooked finger down the road Paul had just come from. "About a mile back, there's a sharp turn. 20 years ago, a young woman lost control of her car there. Died instantly." He paused, letting the words sink in. "Every now and then, some lonely driver says they see her, trying to hitch a ride back from the crash she never left." Wait, before I tell you the final, chilling detail of Paul's story, if you love unexplained mysteries and tales that blur the line between our world and the next, make sure you subscribe to The Gate of Horror. Let us know in the comments if you've ever had a paranormal experience on a lonely road. We'd love to hear your story. Paul left the gas station feeling a cold dread that had nothing to do with the night air. He tried to convince himself it was just a local ghost story, that the attendant was messing with him. He drove for days, trying to put the incident behind him. But he couldn't shake the feeling of that cold, silent presence in his cab. A few days later, while cleaning out his truck for his next haul, his hand brushed against something soft wedged between the passenger seat and the center console. He pulled it out. It was a delicate, silk scarf, a style that hadn't been popular for at least 2 decades. He knew, with a certainty that froze his blood, that he had been completely alone on his trip. The scarf hadn't been there before, and it belonged to the woman who had vanished into thin air. Thanks for joining us in the shadows tonight. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you never miss another journey through the gate of horror. Until next time, drive safe, and maybe, just maybe, don't stop for strangers on a dark, deserted road. Have you ever received a call from a number you didn't recognize? Most of us just ignore it, thinking it's a spam call. But what if the call was from someone you knew? Someone who shouldn't be able to call you anymore. Today, we're diving into a story that blurs the line between technology and the supernatural, a case that has baffled investigators and left a family with a chilling, unanswerable question. This isn't just a campfire tale. It's a documented event that will make you think twice the next time your phone rings. Unexpectedly, the year was 2007. The Thompson family was engulfed in a grief that no parent should ever have to experience. Just 3 days earlier, their beloved daughter had tragically passed away in a car accident. The pain was raw, the loss immeasurable. Their world had been shattered, and they were just beginning to navigate the crushing reality of their new life without her. Then, one evening, the silence of their mourning was broken by the ringing of a phone. The caller ID displayed a number they knew all too well. It was their daughter's. Their hearts pounded in their chests. Confusion, disbelief, and a sliver of desperate hope washed over them. How could this be possible? Her phone, they were told, had been completely destroyed in the crash, mangled beyond any hope of repair. With trembling hands, they answered the call. For a moment, there was only static, a crackling void that seemed to stretch for an eternity. And then, a voice emerged from the noise. It was faint, a mere whisper. But it was unmistakably her voice, the voice of their daughter. It uttered a single, heartbreaking word, "Mom." The call lasted for only 37 seconds before the line went dead, leaving the Thompsons in a state of shock and profound confusion. Was it a cruel prank, a technical glitch, or something far more inexplicable? The family needed answers. They took the recording of the call to experts, desperate for any logical explanation that could ground them in reality again. The recording eventually made its way to a voice analysis expert at the prestigious University of Michigan. The expert conducted a thorough examination, comparing the voice from the call to previous recordings of the daughter's voice. The results were stunning. The analysis confirmed that the voice on the recording was, without a doubt, authentic. It was their daughter's voice. Furthermore, the expert found no evidence of digital manipulation, splicing, or any form of tampering. The recording was genuine. This is the point where the story takes a turn from heartbreaking to truly terrifying. If the voice was real and unaltered, how was the call made? Welcome to the Gate of Horror. If stories like this send a shiver down your spine, make sure to subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss our next journey into the unknown. What do you think happened? Was it a residual echo in the network, a message from beyond the grave, or something else entirely? Let me know your theories in the comments below. I read every single one, and your insights often shed new light on these chilling mysteries. The official investigation hit a dead end. The phone company confirmed the call originated from their daughter's number but couldn't trace its physical source. The phone itself was still in an evidence locker, smashed to pieces. There was no rational explanation, no crossed wires, no clever hacking, no logical reason for a destroyed phone to make a call. The case remains unsolved to this day, a chilling entry in the annals of unexplained phenomena. The Thompson family was left with a 37-second recording, a final, ghostly message from their daughter that defied all logic and science. It's a story that forces us to question our understanding of life, death, and the connections that bind us. Can a bond be so strong that it transcends even death itself? Or are there simply glitches in the fabric of our reality that we can never hope to understand? This case serves as a haunting reminder that some mysteries may never be solved. The voice from the grave, as it came to be known, is more than just a ghost story. It's a documented event that sits uncomfortably between our world and the next. Thank you for joining me at the Gate of Horror. Stay curious, stay skeptical, and be careful who you answer the phone for. Until next time.